All right, let's just get right into it. You know the scene, it's late, you're scrolling through Zillow, and it feels like every decent house, the ones that aren't literally falling apart, costs $500,000. And you start doing that fuzzy late night math in your head, and it just doesn't add up. Today, we're going to get into the brutal, honest numbers behind who can actually afford a $500,000 house right now. Look, if you've had this exact thought, I'm here to tell you, you're not crazy. That feeling that the whole market has just gone completely off the rails, it's 100% valid. The math, as we're about to see, is, well, it's something else. And this brings up a super important distinction. There's what the bank says you can have based on some simple debt-to-income formula. And then there's what you can actually afford, without turning your entire life into a high-stakes financial stress test. They are not the same thing. Not even close. So, let's peel back the curtain. We're going to really dig in and figure out the true, all-in, no-kidding monthly cost of that $500,000 home. Because that big shiny price tag, that's just the starting line. Okay, let's start building our total. Let's imagine you've worked like crazy and saved up a 10% down payment. That's $50,000. So you're taking out a loan for $450,000. With today's interest rates, your basic payment, just principal and interest, is going to be right around $2,850. That's our baseline. But of course, that's not all. Next, you've got to tack on property taxes. Now, this can vary a ton, but a pretty conservative national average is another $500 a month. Boom. Just like that, we're already at $3,350. Oh, but we are far from done. You need homeowners insurance, right? And with rates just absolutely soaring lately, you've got to budget at least another $300 a month for that. So our running total now climbs to $3,650. And here's the one that gets everybody: maintenance. The classic rule of thumb is to set aside 1% of your home's value every single year for repairs. On a $500,000 house, that's $5,000 a year, which breaks down to $417 a month. That's your "oh crap, the AC just died" fund. And finally, because we only put that 10% down, we get hit with PMI, private mortgage insurance. I like to call it the poverty tax you pay because you didn't have $100,000 just lying around. It protects the bank, not you, and it adds another $300 to our monthly bill. So, add it all up. Your true monthly housing cost isn't that number you saw on the online calculator. It's a staggering $4,367 every single month. And that's if you're lucky and nothing big goes wrong. Okay, so we've got our big, scary number. Now for the real question. What kind of income does a household actually need to have to support that kind of payment without completely imploding? Well, let's look at two different rules. The conservative rule, what most financial advisors would tell you, is that your housing should be no more than 28% of your gross income. To hit that target, you need a household income of $187,000 a year. Even if we use the bank's much looser rule, which lets you go all the way up to 43%, you still need to be making $150,000. And here's the reality check. Only about 10 to 20% of all households in the US actually make $150,000 or more. This isn't my opinion, it's not a hot take, it is just the math. For 80 to 90% of the country, a $500,000 house is, by any sane financial measure, completely unaffordable. But wait, people are still stretching and buying these homes, right? So what does that actually look like? What does life feel like when you are house poor? Let's move beyond the numbers and talk about the human cost. Let's invent a family. We'll call them the Johnsons. Together, they make $160,000 a year. That's a great income. They're solidly upper middle class. They did everything right, and they bought that dream $500,000 house. On paper, they should be set. But let's look at their actual budget. After taxes, they bring home about $9,500 a month. That house payment of $4,367, it eats up 46% of their take-home pay. Almost half. Once you factor in cars, student loans, groceries, daycare, they're left with basically nothing. No room for savings, no fun, no breathing room. And what does that feel like? Well, it feels like a constant low-level hum of anxiety. It's saying no to pizza night, no to summer camp. It's that feeling in the pit of your stomach that you are one car repair, one medical bill away from complete financial disaster. It's exhausting. And here's the really messed up part. The whole system, the agent, the lender, everyone involved, their job is to get you into the house. Their incentive is to close the deal. It is not their job to make sure you can actually thrive once you're in it. They're not looking out for your long-term well-being. So, what are you supposed to do? This feels pretty bleak, right? But this is where we shift from the problem to the solution. It's time to talk about taking a different path, about choosing financial freedom and redefining what this whole American dream thing is even about.
See, on one hand, you've got this constant societal pressure, right? Renting is just throwing money away. But on the other hand, you have the cold, hard mathematical reality. Home prices have shot up almost 400% since 1990. Wages only about 180%. You can't out-budget a problem that's this big and this structural.
So maybe we need to redefine what wealth really means. It's not just about having a bunch of equity locked up in a house that keeps you awake at night. True wealth is having margin in your budget. It's being able to invest in your future. It's the freedom from financial anxiety. That's the real prize. So what are your actual real-world options? Well, one, you can keep renting and take that extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month you're not spending on a house and invest it. Two, you can radically rethink what you're looking for, a smaller place, a different town. Or three, you can just decide to wait, save aggressively, and acknowledge that right now the market is broken. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes the absolute smartest, most strategic move you can make is to look at a game that feels rigged against you and just refuse to play. Opting out is not failure. It's a power move to protect your future. So I'll leave you with this one question to really chew on. The house you're scrolling for at night, is it a foundation that's going to help you build your life, or is it a beautifully decorated trap that's going to constrain it? Once you run the real numbers, the answer is usually pretty clear.